Hello Army, welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, welcome, you have genuinely arrived at exactly the right moment because today we are talking about something that made me stop everything I was doing when I first came across it, because it is one of those stories that feels simultaneously completely surprising and absolutely inevitable at the same time. We are talking about Brazil. We are talking about one of South America's most prestigious and widely read entertainment magazines. We are talking about International Dance Day, which is one of the most significant annual celebrations in the global performing arts calendar. And we are talking about the fact that when Brazil's famous QUEM magazine sat down to compile their list of 15 world stars who possess extraordinary dance talent, celebrities from across the global entertainment landscape whose dedication to dance has shaped their artistry and their careers, there was only one male K-pop artist on that entire list. And that artist was ParkJimin of BTS. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's talk about why that choice was made, what it means, and why if you are not already feeling incredibly proud right now, you absolutely will be by the end of this video. Before we get into the substance of what QUEM magazine said about Jimin and why they chose him, I want to make sure everyone watching understands the full weight of what this recognition represents. QUEM is not a small publication. It is not a niche fan magazine or a K-pop focused outlet. QUEM is one of Brazil's most established and most respected celebrity and entertainment publications, with a readership that spans demographics and a cultural authority that extends well beyond fan communities. When QUEM decides to feature someone in a significant editorial context, it means something. It means that person has crossed over from being recognized within their own community into being recognized by a broader cultural establishment that applies different and more rigorous standards of evaluation. And the context of this specific feature makes it even more significant. International Dance Day is celebrated annually on April 29 and it is an occasion recognized by the performing arts world globally, by dance academies, by professional dance companies, by arts institutions, and by publications that cover the intersection of entertainment and artistic achievement. It is not a pop culture holiday. It is a genuine cultural occasion with real roots in the performing arts community. And when QUEM chose to mark International Dance Day by compiling a list of world celebrities who genuinely possess extraordinary dance talent, not just stars who happen to dance as part of their stage shows, but people with real technical training, real artistic credentials, real dedication to dance as a discipline, they were making editorial choices that required actual journalistic evaluation. They were asking a serious question: which of these globally famous people actually dance at a level that deserves to be recognized on this particular day? The list they came up with includes 15 names from across the global entertainment world, performers from Brazil, from Hollywood, from various corners of the international entertainment landscape. And Jimin is on that list. The only male K-pop artist on that list. The only K-pop artist of any gender on that list, period. In a world where K-pop is more globally visible than it has ever been, where dozens of idol groups are producing content consumed by hundreds of millions of people worldwide, where dance is a central component of virtually every K-pop act's presentation, QUEM looked at all of that and said one name. One person. ParkJimin. Now let's talk about why, because this is not a random choice and it is not fan-driven. QUEM did not arrive at Jimin's name because of a voting campaign or because ARMY organized to push his inclusion. They arrived at his name because when you evaluate K-pop artists against the specific criteria of genuine dance artistry, technical training, academic achievement in dance, artistic range, the ability to use dance as genuine expression rather than just performance, Jimin stands apart. And to understand why, you have to understand his background, because his path to becoming the artist he is today is rooted in dance in a way that is genuinely unusual even within an industry that places enormous emphasis on dance ability. ParkJimin grew up in Busan, South Korea, and from a relatively young age showed an exceptional aptitude for dance. This was not the kind of casual interest that many children develop and then set aside. This was a genuine talent that his teachers and the adults around him recognized as something that needed to be properly cultivated. And so he was enrolled at Busan High School of Arts, which is one of the most respected performing arts institutions in the region. This is not a standard high school with a dance program. This is a dedicated arts school where students are selected based on demonstrated talent and where the curriculum is rigorous and demanding in a way that is designed to produce genuine artists rather than just enthusiastic amateurs. At Busan High School of Arts, Jimin specialized in contemporary dance. And this is the detail that QUEM magazine specifically highlighted in their International Dance Day feature. They described him as a contemporary dance specialist who was the top student in his class. Top student. Not one of the good students. Not among the talented students. The top student in his entire graduating class at a competitive performing arts institution. That distinction matters enormously because it tells you something very specific about the level at which Jimin was operating even before he became a global pop star. He was not just talented. He was demonstrably, measurably, academically the best at what he was being trained to do. Contemporary dance is a discipline that demands a specific combination of physical capability and artistic intelligence. Unlike some other dance forms that can be mastered primarily through physical training, through building strength, flexibility, and the muscle memory to execute specific moves, contemporary dance requires you to think through your body. It asks you to use movement as a genuine language, to communicate states of being and emotional truths through the way you inhabit and move through space. The technical demands are significant, but the artistic demands are equally so, and a student who excels in contemporary dance at a serious performing arts institution has demonstrated not just physical capability but genuine artistic intelligence. Jimin demonstrated that. He was the best at his school. And then Big Hit found him. The story of how Jimin came to join Big Hit is itself worth telling in this context, because it illustrates something important about the relationship between his dance background and his identity as an idol. He was actually on the verge of leaving his dance training to pursue a different path when Big Hit recruited him, and by that point he had already developed a foundation in contemporary dance that was significantly more sophisticated than what most idol trainees bring into their training periods. While his fellow trainees were learning the fundamentals of synchronized group choreography, how to execute moves together, how to hit positions at the right moment, how to maintain formation and timing, Jimin was bringing a layer of understanding about dance as artistic expression that went far beyond what the standard idol training framework tends to develop. This created a challenge that Jimin has spoken about honestly in interviews, the challenge of translating a contemporary dance sensibility into the context of K-pop performance, which has its own aesthetic conventions and its own demands. The two are not the same thing. Contemporary dance values individual expression, fluidity, the communication of complex emotional states through movement. K-pop choreography values precision, synchronization, visual impact at scale, and the kind of clean execution that reads well across the distance of a stadium and through the lens of a camera. Learning to do both, to be technically precise and synchronized while also bringing genuine artistic expression and individuality to every movement, that is what Jimin has spent his entire BTS career developing. And watching that development is one of the most rewarding things about being an ARMY who pays attention to performance. Because if you go back to BTS's early choreography and watch Jimin specifically, and then you watch him in the most recent Arirang tour performances, you are watching a decade of development. You are watching someone take a foundation of genuine classical training and continuously build on it, continuously refine it, continuously find new ways to bring his particular qualities, that combination of technical precision and emotional expressiveness, that ability to move between power and delicacy within a single phrase of movement, into ever more sophisticated and effective expression. The person dancing in BTS's earliest music videos is already excellent. The person dancing in the Arirang tour shows is genuinely extraordinary. And the performances that have become the most iconic in Jimin's solo career specifically demonstrate the full range of what his dance background makes possible. When he performs pieces that draw explicitly on his contemporary training, the solo performances, the more conceptual and expressionistic choreography, you can see very clearly how his Busan High School of Arts education shaped him. The quality of his movement in those pieces is different in kind from what most idol performers achieve. It has a depth, a layering, a sense of each movement being chosen for what it communicates rather than just for how it looks, that marks it as the work of someone who has been trained to think about dance as language. But what makes Jimin's dance artistry so remarkable, and what presumably drew QUEM's editorial team to include him on their International Dance Day list, is not just that he has serious technical training. Lots of performers have technical training. What makes Jimin genuinely exceptional is how he has integrated that training into a performance identity that is entirely his own. He has not just applied contemporary dance techniques to idol choreography. He has developed something new, a synthesis of contemporary expressiveness and K-pop precision that is uniquely his, that belongs to him, that you cannot see anywhere else. When people talk about the way Jimin dances having an ineffable quality, a sense of something that exceeds what should be technically possible, what they are responding to is this synthesis. They are responding to someone who has taken everything his training gave him and combined it with a decade of relentless performance development and an intrinsic quality of physical intelligence that cannot be taught, it can only be recognized and cultivated. QUEM recognized it. And the description they chose, contemporary dance specialist, top student in his class, is actually one of the most accurate and most respectful characterizations of Jimin's dance background that we have seen from mainstream media. It does not reduce him to a K-pop idol who can dance. It acknowledges him as someone with genuine academic and artistic credentials in dance as a discipline, someone whose dancing comes from a real foundation rather than just talent and practice. That distinction matters. It is the difference between being a good performer and being an artist, and QUEM made that distinction clearly. Now let's think about what it means that Jimin was the only K-pop artist on this list, because I think that specificity deserves attention. K-pop has produced many, many extraordinary dancers. Any honest conversation about contemporary popular music performance has to acknowledge that the level of danceability in K-pop is, across the board, genuinely exceptional. The training systems, the standards, the investment in choreography and physical performance that the industry makes produces dancers who would be remarkable in any context. And yet when QUEM looked at all of that, when they evaluated the global landscape of celebrity dance talent, they chose one name from K-pop. One. And it was Jimin. That choice tells a story. It says that even within a field of extraordinary performers, even within an industry that produces exceptional dancers at scale, there is someone who stands at a different level. Someone whose credentials, whose training, whose artistic achievement in dance is distinctive enough to be singled out when a mainstream publication is making serious editorial choices about who genuinely deserves recognition as a dance artist. Jimin is that person. He was always going to be that person, because everything about his background and his development pointed toward this kind of recognition. Army knew it. Now Brazil knows it. And increasingly, the rest of the world is catching up. Let's also spend some time on what this recognition means in the broader context of Jimin's 2026, because the timing of this QUEM feature is part of a remarkable accumulation of international recognition that has been building all year. The Rolling Stone cover story. The Arirang album and world tour. The Calvin Klein campaigns. The Times Square Yondungpo recognition. The higher voting victory. And now this, a Brazilian magazine's International Dance Day list that names him the world's most credentialed male K-pop dancer. Each of these recognitions comes from a different direction, addresses a different dimension of who he is, and together they are assembling a portrait of an artist who has genuinely arrived at a level of global cultural recognition that very few people ever achieve. And what makes this specific recognition from QUEM so valuable within that portrait is that it addresses the foundation of everything Jimin does. The fashion recognition, the visual recognition, the musical recognition, all of those are real and meaningful. But dance is where Jimin started. Dance is the original language, the thing he was doing before he was an idol, the discipline he was being formally trained in when Big Hit found him. To have that foundation, that contemporary dance training, that top student distinction, that academic and artistic credential officially recognized by a prestigious international publication on a day specifically dedicated to honoring dance as an art form is to have the most essential thing about Jimin acknowledged in exactly the terms it deserves. He is not a pop star who dances. He is a dancer who became a pop star. And everything about his career, from the extraordinary physicality of his earliest BTS performances to the deeply expressive solo work that has defined his recent years, flows from that fundamental truth. QUEM saw that truth. They put it in print, in their International Dance Day feature, in a list of 15 world stars, and they were the only major mainstream publication to make that specific editorial choice about Jimin on that specific occasion. ARMY has always understood this about him. We have watched the live performance and felt something that went beyond appreciation for good choreography. We felt the full weight of a trained contemporary dancer communicating something genuine and specific through movement. We have watched the filter performances and understood that the theatrical, shape-shifting quality of his dancing is not just showmanship but genuine artistic intelligence about how to use the body to tell a story. We have watched the Promise dance practice videos and recognized in the simplicity and the expressiveness of those movements the unmistakable signature of someone who learned to dance as a language before he learned to dance as performance. And now Brazil has said it. A prestigious South American magazine with 4.7 million Instagram followers and decades of cultural authority in its home country has said it, in print, on International Dance Day, in a list of the world's most credentialed celebrity dancers. ParkJimin is a contemporary dance specialist. He was the top student in his class. He belongs on a list of the world's most serious and most gifted celebrity dancers. He is the only male K-pop artist who made that list because he is the only male K-pop artist whose credentials and artistic achievement in dance justify inclusion on a list with those standards. That is not a fan opinion. That is a mainstream editorial judgment made by a credible publication with no particular investment in K-pop or in BTS. And it matches exactly what ARMY has been saying for years. The world is catching up to what we already knew. And on International Dance Day 2026, Brazil led the way. Before I close out today's video, I want to say something directly to any Jimin fans who are watching this who sometimes feel like the depth and the seriousness of his artistry, particularly his dance artistry, does not always get the recognition it deserves in the mainstream conversation. This QUEM feature is evidence that it is getting recognized. It is happening more and more, in more places, by more people who come to the conversation without any prior investment in BTS or in K-pop. They are looking at Jimin with fresh eyes and they are seeing what we see. The training, the credentials, the extraordinary combination of technical excellence and genuine artistic expression that makes his dancing unlike anything else in contemporary popular performance. They are seeing it and they are writing about it and they are putting his name on lists that have never had a K-pop artist's name on them before. That is how cultural recognition actually works. It accumulates. It builds. It spreads from community to community, from context to context, until eventually a Brazilian magazine puts you on their International Dance Day list and describes you as a contemporary dance specialist and the top student in your class, and suddenly millions of people who did not know your name before are looking you up. That is where Jimin is right now. And the journey that brought him here, from Busan High School of Arts to the Ararang World Tour to Brazil's most prestigious entertainment magazine, is one of the most beautiful and most fully deserved stories in the history of contemporary popular music. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, it truly makes a difference for the channel. Drop a comment below telling me your favorite Jimin dance performance, the one that you think best represents why QUEM was absolutely right to put him on that list. Subscribe if you have not already, share this video with your fellow ARMY, and I will see you in the next one. Purple you all.